Nikhil is the Chief of Strategy and Research and part of the CEO's office at Magic Bus India Foundation. He's worked with consulting firms such as EY, KPMG, and PwC, and has led transformation programs for corporate clients across sectors. A mechanical engineer and a postgraduate in management from IIM Ahmedabad. Nikhil, delighted to have you.
Yes, very much, Santosh. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. For the people who would like to know more, would you like to tell them a bit about Magic Bus to start with?
Sure. So Magic Bus is a 22-year-old organization. We work with children and young people through childhood to livelihood. So the idea is that we want to make a difference to children living in conditions of poverty. And the best way to do that is to ensure that they are on track to complete their secondary education. They have the skills to get into jobs or secure their means of livelihood. We also work with their parents and their, the larger community ecosystem to ensure that there's a network of support and encouragement available. We currently have about 4 lakh children across the country who are part of the program, and we have about 50 livelihood centers through which we are providing jobs to youth. So that's really a summary of the work, very brief summary of the work that we do.
That's amazing. Very impactful work, and thank you so much for that. You have worked 15 years with the consulting firm, okay, and you've worked with multiple organizations.
Yes.
And now you have transitioned to the social sector, and you've been working here for a bit now. So what led you to this transformation or transition to this social sector?
Yeah. So Santosh, I don't have a formal training about the social sector, of course, being an engineer and MBA, but like everyone has a desire or a want to make a difference. So I too had that. The thought that I would do it possibly after retiring from my work. But really what happened is in 2014, I did a transformational program called the Landmark Forum, and I continue to participate in some of the programs, and it led me to the realization that I can make a difference in this field. I think one of the really pivotal moments was when I was with EY. In one of the meets, we had a person from abroad who had come to deliver a motivational lecture to us. I was really very inspired by him. His name is Louis Pugh, and he's the UN patron of the oceans. So he's doing phenomenal work at the global scale for climate change. Santosh, when I met him, I thought that, man, this person can make such a huge difference at the global scale. I can definitely do my bit. So that's really what led me to think of making this move.
You are impacting, you said 4 lakh children, and you're running 50 plus livelihood centers across. So what has been your first aha moment?
Yeah, plenty of aha moments, but definitely one that I'm really proud of and that I cherish was when Magic Bus was awarded the prestigious Scale Up grant from Azim Premji Philanthropic Initiatives. It's a $5 million grant over 5 years. So in that sense, a huge impetus and a support to our strategy. That was really a pivotal moment. But when that happened, we as a team had an opportunity to interact with Mr. Premji. And the simplicity and the powerful vision and his commitment to make a real difference to the lives of adolescent girls, that's what was really connected so well. Very inspiring.
I'm sure it must have been a very transformative moment for you.
Absolutely.
As a leader, how do you motivate the right talent to partner your journey?
I think the story of Magic Bus itself connects very well with a lot of people. Either from the sector or even from any other sector, when we tell them about the work that we are doing, and it's really positioning it as an opportunity for them to realize their potential. That's what I believe motivates a lot of people. Having said that, I think motivation is not something which is a one time when you're really wanting somebody to get into working along with you, but it's something which needs to be ensured throughout the term of association with the person. And I think what I felt is it's important to give people the space for them to perform, because everybody really wants to fulfill their own passion and what they are good at. So giving them that opportunity and, the freedom as well, because I have seen even in consulting when there was a team working with me and you give them the freedom, they come up with some things which you have not imagined. And that was a big realization for me when I was leading teams in consulting. And the other thing which I got as a feedback was, and which I've kept along even after that, has been that really supporting and ensuring that you have your teams back. That is something which, gives them that kind of a safety net, that even if they fail, there is somebody who's going to ensure that their interests are taken care of.
Yeah,
So that's what really liberates people, and it allows them to do their best.
absolutely, absolutely. They know they can be creative.
That's right.
Without having the fear of being reprimanded, because you have their back. So
yeah,
kind of,
and sometimes you do have to reprimand people, and yet you do it in a way that they see that as a value addition, and it's a difficult thing as well, because not all is hunky dory.
just like like we never would have thought something like a COVID would have had an impact. And still, I think what is really powerful is organizations have emerged stronger. What did you see as things that people did to cope and come stronger?
Right. So personally, the first few days of the pandemic, when it really hit us and when we got into the lockdown, so it was quite scary, and I did not want to deal with that issue. But really what I saw is, I'm the other side of it when I look at it, that this kind of a pandemic happens once in 100 years. So I said, okay, this is possibly the once in 100-year opportunity which is available for us, for me personally, and for us as an organization. And I did speak about it even in the organization. And yeah, I think that context made a lot of difference personally, because then you will give it your best, right? Whatever it means. We work in the field, in the social sector, so any such situation is always an opportunity for people to go out there and do their bit, right? So it was really the teams who started working on food distribution, on ration distribution, and so on. And then we as an organization, we rallied all our forces. We raised a good amount of money for ration distribution. We were able to distribute relief rations to about 95 to 100,000 families, which is like a mammoth exercise. When we look at it, it's about 25 million meals equivalent. Considering that Magic Bus is not an organization which works in the field of relief, disaster relief, along with that, we continue to work on the research part, as in what are families really requiring at this point of time. And then we saw that economic distress had set in, so there were a lot of people out of jobs. And after the first wave got over, we got into, because we have a livelihood program and Good Livelihood Connects, we were able to provide jobs to a whole lot of people. And even this year, we aim to provide jobs to about 75,000 youth, which is, again, in a sense, a need of the hour. And being able to do that as an organization, and being part of such an organization, it's really something to be proud of. So that's what I believe, Santosh.
I think the livelihood space itself would have evolved, right, Nikhil?
Enormous.
If you're comfortable sharing about the livelihood thing in terms of what is it? Yeah.
Sure. So our work has primarily been in skilling and placements.
Right.
The skilling space, what we are seeing is there is a lot of evolution in terms of career counseling, in terms of blended learning. Because of COVID, and we could not reach out to the youth in that kind of a situation, we have evolved and converted all our programs into online. And even with the online, mode of skill building, then there's online interviews, there is career counseling happening online. And even with all of the distress around, we are still able to do that work. So that has been an enormous learning for us. And we are hoping that in future, we will continue to, provide offerings in both these modes, in a blended kind of a mode, and still be able to deliver 75% plus placements, and with increasing number of youth.
You could think of scaling much faster than probably what you were earlier. Because
yes, that too. At the same time, Santosh, COVID has created a divide. So the haves and the have-nots is clearly have access to a phone and an internet, and don't have access to a phone and an internet. And that's really making the other side of the divide, which is the people, the have-nots, we really need to think of what's the mechanism to address that side of the need. Because if they are left behind, then still we wouldn't have done a good job. So a lot of work really needs to happen on that side. And that's both actually. It's not just on the livelihood side, but it's also on the education side. Because while our children, for our children, we can have Zoom and their classes can still go online. The learning deficit which has been created in this 1.5 years is just phenomenal. What we are seeing is our field teams do report that children who are beginning to learn to read have forgotten how to read. That means, it's like beginning the entire learning journey again. It's quite a tough situation right now. That's really going to be the focus for the sector.
Yes. What, according to you, are your core values which has helped you so far as a leader?
So I think one of the things is authenticity. That's something which I have learned, and that's that's really one of the things which I believe in. The other one is empathy. Calls for a great deal of listening to what the other person, with what your team is going through, what they're dealing with. And the other thing is courage to really, take on a path which may not be the conventional path. I think that's broadly what I would say core leadership values. I would possibly like to add would be, when I said about empathy and the team's focus, it's really the very clear connection with the purpose.
I completely get what you're trying to say, because as leaders, if you are not getting your team aligned to the purpose, I think that you've lost.
I believe decision making becomes far easier when you are connected to purpose. So
somebody must have impacted you. Somebody must, one of those early people in your life. So
yes.
Let me take you back to your first job and maybe the early people in your career.
That's very interesting. So if I were to think of my first job, so I worked in Maruti. I began my career with Maruti. Okay. When competitiveness in the Indian automotive industry was setting in, multinational players were coming in, and Maruti, number one position was getting threatened. I can't say one particular person, Santosh, but really Maruti is not just an automotive factory. It's a factory of leaders. Okay, so all the way, Mr. Khattar was leading the organization then, and there were a lot of people in marketing and sales in the team, and they went on to become leaders across the automotive sector. So definitely that's one, but that it would be insufficient because, I worked over there for 2 years. The real sense of leadership and the values that I spoke of, I got that from my work with the next organization, my second organization. In fact, it was ECS. It was a consulting organization, a boutique consulting organization, a 100-member team. It was part of the Eicher group, and the leaders over there had all of these values that I spoke about, very, very authentic, extremely client focused, to the degree that they would take decisions which were really in the interest of the client. And at times, in the short term, there might be an impact on the organization as well. But still, they would say that it would benefit us in the long term, and it did. I can't mention one because I believe if you're open, there's enough inspiration available out there. I have been inspired by many people from that team. I continue to work with them for, as we moved across organizations, but as a team, we moved across organizations. So I worked with them for close to 11 years, and a fantastic team. And even from that team, now you have leaders in the consulting space. That
good, those wonderful days, and
you touched upon a topic which is very close to my heart.
Yeah. Okay, great. Now from a very happy space, let me get you to not so happy space in terms of tough decisions. As a leader, so many years, what has been your toughest decision as a leader?
The leader, I think a couple of things. In fact, when I was moving across organizations, I was leaving a team behind, and that was definitely painful. But like when I was moving from consulting to the social sector, I was at a position where the team was really counting on me to move from a director in Ernst & Young to the next level, and I wasn't committed to it. Okay, so that was a tough thing for me because I was taking a decision which was in the interest of my future. But then I had to speak to each one of my team members and tell them why is it that I'm making this move right now. And if I don't make this move, then I would still be doing disservice to them because I was not interested in becoming a partner there, right? So while I was taking a decision for my own, but it was still in the interest of the team. It was a painful process.
Yeah, but as you engage and be honest with your team, it becomes much easier and
Absolutely.
they become part of the whole process as well.
Absolutely. I think the aspect of career moves has always been something which has been tough. I think the work related or when you're working as part of an organization's decisions are far easier than when you're deciding to move from one to another.
Yeah.
So similarly, leaving that the team, having worked with them for 11 years and moving to another organization, that was again a very painful thing as well. We were friends, our families knew each other. In that sense, it was a very personal connect as well.
Totally. And most of the tough decisions are always about people and people who you care about a lot.
That's true.
Which is usually your team. That
so well said. Yes, absolutely.
How do you drive innovation in your organization?
I think Santosh, strategy is less about what you are going to do. It's about what you're not going to do. Making those choices make strategy far more simpler, clearer, and easier to implement. Having said that, the other side of what I do or what we do as an organization is innovation. We innovate do a lot of innovation in controlled pilots. We always have a set of innovative new models that we are trying out. We are closely watching the performance of those innovative models. And then when we see that a particular model is delivering the right results, that is when we will take it up to the right resources and invest time of the right people in those projects. And that's how we approach innovation. I think there is a whole lot of innovation that is needed in the sector. The problems that we are trying to solve in the sector are of a scale which is unheard of in the world. So, it really requires the kind of solutions and innovation is really, really important. We also do a lot of technology-based implementation to help reduce the cost of the program in order to reach out to a larger set of beneficiaries. So there is a whole lot of technology and innovation going hand in hand.
If I were to really assess myself, how do I measure the success of my leadership style?
I think leadership is forever evolving, and the understanding about leadership. And earlier it was around how many followers do you have, and then the next set of great leaders were those who were meeting all the objectives of the organization. And I think leadership has evolved to a place where, or is still evolving, and to a place where leadership will be measured on how many leaders are you creating in the organization. So I truly believe that the best leaders are those under whom people do flourish. They really develop new skills. They develop new areas of expertise of their own. They see themselves evolving as leaders and then go on to take larger roles. And there are a whole lot of examples of organizations who have created those kind of leadership academies and a pipeline of leaderships in the organizations.
I honestly have never thought of this specific aspect of leaders creating leaders. Probably do it organically without really thinking about it. I think great point of measurement.
Yeah, absolutely. Once it becomes a success measure, that will be a great turning point for everybody.
Nikhil, this has been phenomenal to catch up and learn because you're doing such powerful work. How can people be part of your cause?
First and foremost, I think it's a cause which is extremely important for the country. The cause of young people aged 10 to 25, which is about a large part of our population, and with a whole set of challenges which they are faced with, especially those who are living in vulnerable, marginalized, communities and sections of the society. So there is a whole lot of requirement, support their education, ensure that they are leading rewarding, fulfilling lives in the future, because that is in the interest of the country. So that is one part of the context. And when I look at that context and Magic Bus, it is one of the largest direct implementation organizations in the country. Like what I was saying, this country needs organizations which can solve large problems at that scale. So I would like to say that the Magic Bus is a real opportunity for other people to come and associate with, maybe as donors. It's very easy to donate to an organization. There are opportunities to volunteer your time. There are opportunities to work with some of the young people. As an organization, we are really moving towards scaling up in a very big way, both on the education and the livelihood side, working with a whole lot of state governments. So that will give us an opportunity to scale. And so maybe direct contributions, maybe as volunteers, maybe as people who will be ambassadors of the organization and speak about why the cause is important and how this organization can really make an impact.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for all the work and effort that you are doing for us. I'm sure this will be a very impactful video for people to watch.
I love the opportunity, Santosh. Thank you so much, and really acknowledge you for having this kind of a series where people can be candid and talk about their experiences, and hopefully that will go on to inspire others.
Thank you so much, Nikhil.
Bye-bye.